Well, I have a question for you today. Are you stable or are you stagnant? You say, Brian, what kind of a question is that? Well, I want to really stir you up today. I want to make you think. I want to cause you to stop for a moment and consider, are you stuck or are you really moving forward? Are you thinking in terms of things are going really well right now, but in reality, the life that is in you is beginning to diminish because you're kind of stagnant? That's what we're going to talk about today. That's where we're going. Stable or stagnant? That's the question I want to ask you right now. "69% of the world's population values stability over progress." I want you to think about that. 69, almost 70% of the world's population values stability, the lack of change, more than they value forward progress. This is so powerful to me. It's really frightening. It's really sad. Well, Brian, where do you get that statistic? Well, it's pretty simple. If you look at almost any personality profile, and there's many of those out there, there's DISC, there's Myers-Briggs, there's several others that you can look up online, but all those profiles identify that there's one personality style that 70% of the population have as their dominant personality style. And along the DISC profile line, it is called the S personality style. And that person, that S stands for stable. They don't like change. They don't like to make decisions. Once they get into a routine, they're content to be in that routine and to be stuck with that, because the idea of having to change something or mix it up or make decisions to go a different direction stresses them out so much that they simply avoid it at all costs. Think about this for just a second. Most people walking the planet are absolutely resistant to change, and they would rather have a predictable day, a predictable month, a predictable future than they would to step into the opportunities that are placed before them that would require them to change. It's a very powerful concept. Well, you've heard me say so many times on this program that living things grow and growing things change. Living things grow, growing things change. Said another way, if something stops or refuses to grow, it's going to stop living at some point. You get that? If the status quo is something you value more highly than opportunity, then I promise you at some point your growth is going to be retarded. You're going to stop developing, stop growing, stop expanding the possibilities, stop expanding your competencies. And as soon as you stop growing, your body, I'm talking about metaphorically, who you are begins to shut down and die. I know with all of my heart that's not the kind of person I'm talking to right now. That's not what you want. That's not what you desire for your life. But I'm telling you, living things grow, growing things change. There is a high cost to maintaining the status quo. And the cost is really simple. It's death. It's the death of dreams. It's the death of the hopes that you have. It's the death of aspirations and ideas. It's the death of marriages. It's the death of businesses, and so on and so on and so on. The fight and the striving to maintain the status quo is actually killing off all of the beautiful things that God has designed for your life, because you cannot have the absence of growth and life at the same time. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you right now? This is powerful stuff. All right, now, last week and this week and next week, I'm talking a little bit about change and dynamics and things that are happening and why it's so important that we step into and embrace change. But today I want to really dive a little deep on this and get in your heart, stir you up a little bit and make you think, because Just because you perceive your life to be stable doesn't necessarily mean you're moving forward. It could mean you're becoming stagnant. Now, I want us to look at the word stagnant for just a second. The word stagnant is a word that I'm using in this presentation, and therefore I want to define it for you. This is from the dictionary. Stagnant means not flowing. This is so powerful. Stagnant means stale or foul, F-O-U-L, from a lack of movement. Holy goodness, that's awesome. Stagnant means to be characterized by a lack of development, a lack of advancement, or a lack of progressive movement. This last one really got me too. The last definition of stagnant is to be inactive, sluggish, or dull. Now, stop, wait a minute. I want you to think about this. Do you know somebody who could be described as not flowing? Their life is stale or foul from a lack of movement. They don't have any development going on in their life. There's no advancement happening in their life. There's no progressive motion in their life. In fact, they've become kind of sluggish and inactive and just pretty dull to be around. Oh, man, that's like dropping a bomb in the middle of a room of people who need to be awakened, okay? I'm saying to you that to resist the natural progression of life, which is change, growth, development, is to become stagnant. Now I'm going to ask you, I asked you a moment ago, do you know anybody that might fit that definition? I want to ask you, do any of those definitions fit where you are right now, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, motivationally? Do you have no drive, no vision, sluggish? Every day is just mundane. It's a rut. It's miserable. You're not moving. You're stationary. You're static. You're stagnant. If that's you, I'm reaching for you right now, and I want you to see that this is not the state worth staying in. Are you with me? All right? So, have you sacrificed growth, living life to the fullest, progress, success, prosperity, influence? Have you sacrificed all of those things on the altar of stability? Stability is overrated. Hear me. Has the mundane and the mediocre of life become just fulfilling enough? It meets your needs just enough that you don't press into your heart's desires and the things that are ahead of you as possibilities. Think about it. It takes determination. It takes great courage. It takes a will that is just fortified in desire and strength to say, I'm not going to settle for average and mediocre and mundane and ordinary and whatever normal is. I'm going to press into the possibilities that are before me today. That is the kind of person that I'm speaking to right now. I have a very dear friend, somebody who is precious to my wife and I, someone who I've worked with very closely for a number of years. And this person has been an enormous asset to our ministry, been an enormous asset to our for-profit companies, and just, I can't begin to say the types of gifts and assets and blessings she's brought to our lives. It's just unbelievable. And when this person came into my life, I told him, I said, here's the deal. I want you to know that I'm expecting you to do great work for us and help us to build what we're trying to build. However, my life looks like this. Every time I get around somebody, it winds up being, how can I benefit them? How can I help them to grow and to become and to engage the things that God's given them to do? I said, so I'm on your team and I'm on your side, and there's going to come a day when I'm going to push you out of the nest. And that has happened recently for us with one of my employees, one of my contractors. somebody who is vital to our business, vital to our life, vital to our ministry, and a precious friend. But there's several conversations that happened over the summer months and late in the spring of this year, where I said to them, I said, you know what? You have all this possibility in front of you, but you're holding on. You're settling for the stable route. You're settling for the guaranteed route when you have so much potential ahead of you. And I said, it's causing you emotional duress and stress because the inside of you is crying out for what is possible, and yet you're holding on to stable, to normalcy, to stability. And through conversation and praying together with this person, it was determined that, you know what? If I'm ever going to step into everything God has for me, I've got to go for it. I've got to cut the cord. I got to go for it. And that's what's happened recently. And I just tell you, this is a person who is just, I can't begin to tell you, they're a treasure to us. To let them go is a detriment to our organization and to our life. But to hold on to this person for me it'd be a crime. It'd be a travesty, because my job is to push people, not to hold on to them. Where are you right now? Are you holding on to a job or to a career or to a relationship that provides you some sense of stability and assurance and guarantee? But in doing so, you're sacrificing the dreams, the ideals, the possibilities, the desires that God's put in your heart. I'm saying to you, don't be the person who sacrifices your dreams and possibilities on the altar of stability. It's not worth it. At some point, you got to pull the trigger. At some point, you got to get in the game. At some point, you got to do the deal. Are you stable or are you stagnant? That's what I'm asking you to consider. So here's my closing remarks for this session today. It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and ask with an honest heart, am I stable or am I stagnant? What am I holding on to that's keeping me back? Identify and own your current state. Where are you right now emotionally, spiritually regarding this topic? And decide, what do I want? Do I want what I perceive to be stability, or do I want endless possibilities, knowing that God has my future already sealed and already taken care of? That's what I'm asking you today. Lastly, I would ask you to consider this. What are you willing to do? What action are you willing to take right now, today, to put the wheels in motion of breaking you free from stagnant state and moving you into the fluid, the flow, the free flow of what God has for you? You must make a decision and you must take action. Stable or stagnant? That's the question.